Hello beautiful world, my name is PrincessKatey and today I wanted to share with you my kombucha recipe. So I did a ton of research. 2 years ago is when I started brewing my own kombucha, and I did a ton of research before I started because to me fermenting was overwhelming and I was scared I would mess up and get sick or do something crazy. So these are my top tried and true methods for how I do my kombucha. So what is kombucha? Kombucha is a fermented sweet tea. It is effervescent and it is a gut healthy probiotic health drink, and it makes a great replacement for fizzy sodas and fruit juices. Okay, great, yeah, it's fermented. So what makes it fermented is this thing called a SCOBY. So a SCOBY is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. And I will insert a little clip of what a SCOBY looks like. And what you need is sweet tea and a SCOBY, and you can make kombucha. One important thing to know is that you need starter. A starter is just 1 cup of your previous batch of sweet tea, and you need 1 cup of starter for every 1 gallon of kombucha that you'll make. And how I make my sweet tea, you can use 8 to 10 tea bags per 1 gallon of kombucha. And I usually use black, but you can also use green tea. You want to stay away from any of the herbals. A lot of kombuchas are made with black tea, but some skilled kombucha makers will dabble in others. I have done both black and green. Today we'll be talking about black tea. The last ingredient you will need is 1 cup of white sugar, plain white cane sugar. So I drew a cute little diagram. This is my 1 gallon of kombucha, and you need 1 cup of starter liquid, 15 cups of sweet tea, that makes 16 cups for your gallon, and then you need your SCOBY. So after doing research, I found the best way for me to make 1 gallon of kombucha is to boil 2 cups of reverse osmosis water or a spring water, and into that 2 cups of boiling water you want to stir in your cup of sugar. You want to add your 8 to 10 tea bags, turn off the heat, and let steep for 10 to 15 minutes. You then want to remove your tea bags and let this liquid come to a very cooled, almost room temperature. At that time, you want to add the 2 cups of sweet tea, dark sweet tea, into 13 cups of room temperature filtered water. You want to make sure that your water is not too hot or it will harm your SCOBY and your starter liquid. To your clean 1 gallon jug, I use a glass jug. I add my 1 cup of starter, my 13 cups of cooled or room temperature sweet tea, and my SCOBY. Now, not all vessels are going to accommodate the 16 cups as well, so just make sure you always have your 1 cup of starter to about 15 cups. And if you have to get rid of a little bit of sweet tea, go ahead. The most important part is that starter, and the last important part is that SCOBY. You want to put your SCOBY in. This is when I like to gently stir to incorporate my sweet tea and my starter liquid. Now your SCOBY may sink to the bottom or it may float to the top. Either are fine. You want to cover your jar with a breathable cloth like a tea towel or a flour sack cloth. This is to allow air to come in and out without any particles going in. So the yeast and bacteria need oxygen in order to ferment. secure your tea top. Secure your tea cloth with a rubber band and put in a spot it won't be super disturbed. You want to leave it there for 2 weeks or longer until you see another SCOBY form at the top of your vessel. At this time, you can taste it. Take a clean utensil, go beneath your SCOBY, pull out some of the liquid, and when you're tasting it to see, is it too sweet? Is it too sour? It's really up to how you like your kombucha. So once you have your Goldilocks feel in your mouth of how you like your kombucha, I like mine fizzy and sour. At this point is where you can start doing your second ferment. Just a little side note, the warmer the climate you live in, the faster your kombucha will ferment and will be ready. And another side note, when we're talking about our second ferment or storing our raw kombucha, you want to use jars that are rounded and that are very strong. Don't cheap out here because it's effervescent. It can and will explode. And if you have a cheap glass, you'll have glass shards everywhere. A really cool, thrifty tip is use your old kombucha bottles. They are strong and they were designed to hold the power of kombucha. Okay, so now we're talking about our second ferment. You just put a lot of work and time into this first ferment. But let's stop. Hammer time. No, but seriously, let's stop, because when you go to do this second ferment and you're so excited to add flavors and fruit and juices and yumminess, you forget you have to save 1 to 2 cups of starter liquid for your next batch, or you'll be screwed. You'll be beat. You don't want to be beat. And you don't want to use vinegar for your starter. You want to use a successful batch of old kombucha for your starter. So that is my big star highlight point, is make sure you pull out 1 to 2 cups for your next batch. Okay, so we just put our starter batch to the side. You got 1 to 2 cups to the side. Now you're left with all of this fermented goodness. You take that remaining kombucha, and now you can add your flavors for your second fermentation process. You can use fresh fruit, fruit that's been juiced, herbs, and spices to flavor your second batch. It is so much fun to experiment with fruits and herbs, to find ones that complement each other, that are interesting, that you maybe wouldn't have thought about. I really love the second ferment. It's where a lot of the creativity comes in for me. Some of my tried and true and tested and loved flavor combinations are raspberry and rosemary. Another one I love is blueberry with cinnamon basil. And one of my all-time favorites, and one of the first ones I experimented with, is just lemon juice with ginger. Those, for me, are flavors that come out great every time. While you're experimenting, sometimes you make flavors that don't taste that good. I mean, you finish your kombucha, but you don't really like them. I love experimenting. Like I said, the second fermentation is the funnest part. I figured I would do my best to show you guys how I brew my kombucha here at home. I am doubling the recipe. So I'll go over that recipe one more time. It's about 15 cups of sweet tea to 1 cup of starter liquid to 1 cup of white sugar. Let's go over to the stove so I can show you my little setup. I figured I'll record this part. I'm just gonna wash my hands. Figured I'd record it for you. This is my batch, so I'm okay going in with my hands. We'll talk about SCOBY health for a minute here. This is what a SCOBY looks like. This is a beautiful SCOBY, nice and healthy. Here's what the starter SCOBY look like. They're kind of weird things, so don't be scared. They might have weird little like bumps and lumps and textures. As long as there's no mold on it, you're fine. So here is 2 scobies. I might even be able to, I was able to get these guys, and this is quite enough. So I might discard that other SCOBY, the first one. Mine got moldy over the winter. All right, I'm going in with a nice clean spoon. I need something a little deeper, and you can't really see this too well. I don't really have like a good stirrer right now. I had a nice wooden one, and like I gave my dog something on it. Like I let him lick the wooden spoon, and he destroyed it. So I got my Vitamix thing, and it's just hard for you to see. Let me just tip it a little bit. I'm just stirring it all up. Nice gentle stir. Any of the sediment on the bottom, I'm getting it all mixed together. Sometimes you'll even see it bubble. Okay, and the reason why I did that was to incorporate evenly all of the starter. And now I'm gonna reserve my starter. I'm gonna take probably up to 3 cups. Remember, you want 1 to 2 cups so you can have fun and make another batch. And now you have all of this kombucha left over, and here is where you'll take this liquid and make your second ferment. But I'm going to put this off to the side so we can focus on making our new batch. That's my dog, baby. Zach, that's enough. Good. Shh, that's enough. That was me. There's no one there. There's nobody there. That was me. Stop. Good boy. Stop. Good boy. He's a good boy. Okay, here's my starter liquid. I'm gonna put a little cover over this and put this to the side as well. Okay, I just wanted to show you how I have my 4 cups of filtered water. And I'm doubling mine, so this is 20 tea bags. See this cool little trick? I just bunch them into 2 things of 10, tie them around my thing. I can dunk them into my boiling water. I'm using an organic cane sugar. You want to stay away from sugar alcohols or any other sweetener. Just stick with the cane sugar. That is what feeds your kombucha. And remember, I said it is 1 cup per gallon. And I am gonna make 2 gallons. I'm doubling the recipe. So I am gonna boil my water, stir in my sugar while it is nice and warm. I'm gonna put my tea bags in. There's a little piece of rosemary over here. Put my tea bags in, and I'm gonna turn the heat off, let that steep for 15 minutes, let it cool, and then I'm gonna add it into this jug, which will have 13 cups of room temperature water, making sure everything is really cool, really room temperature, so that it doesn't kill our starter or our SCOBY. While I'm waiting for my water to boil, I went ahead and got my vessels ready for my second ferment. So I'm not wasting any time. Made sure everything was nice and clean. These are just old kombucha bottles that I'll be using for second ferment. Okay, my water's nice and boiling. I'm adding 1 cup and 2 cups. Remember, I'm doubling my recipe. I'm gonna turn off my heat and stir this in. Looks pretty good. I'm making sure nothing's burning to the bottom. Man, this dog is going wild. I think it's because I'm talking. He thinks I'm talking to someone. Here are all my tea bags. Sorry if this is shoddy filming. And I'm gonna put on a timer. Oh, no. Let's do, you can't even see that. Wow, you really can't see that. 15. Just removed it from the heat. Got my little system, and I'll just wait for this to steep. So since we have some time, as we're waiting for our sweet tea to steep and for that mixture to come down to a room temperature, I can start playing with my second ferment because I got a whole batch of booch ready to be flavored with deliciousness. I'm just gonna make one flavor today. I think I'll have just enough to fill up these two big ones and this little guy. I'm not sure yet, but I went and I bought some delicious raspberries. They were $2 a pint. I got them at this local fruit store, and that's banging right now because in the grocery store they were like $5 this week. So I want to use them up. They're like a little bit overripe and delicious. So those already been rinsed. I'm gonna get that out, and I am pairing it with one of my favorite flavors I told you, but rosemary. I love rosemary and raspberry kombucha. It is delicious. So let me show you how I do that. Gave my herbs a little rinse. I actually take this piece of septarian, it's a rock, and this is terrible filming, I'm so sorry. Here, let me switch hands. I'm basically just pressing on the rosemary. I put a little bit of raspberry juice in there too to get it going. And I am just squeezing out all the flavors, and I'll go up and down all the stems. And then I'm gonna mash in this bag of overripe raspberries that I got from the fruit stand. I am gonna keep mashing and show you what I get at the end. Smells good in here. Still have 11 minutes for the tea to steep. Good thing I started this other process. That's just as satisfying, huh? Yes. Mush and mash him. I can feel like the resins from the plant from the rosemary all over my hand. It's like sticky. What I did was I put it in a bowl, really mushed, and got the oils flowing for the the rosemary before I mix it all together. And then I'm just gonna take this whole mixture, the sprigs and the raspberries, and evenly distribute it into my three jars for the second fermentation. Still got 6 minutes over here. So look at all that I'm accomplishing. And I'm being witchy. This whole time you can add your intention and your magic. As you're mushing, you can imagine what this kombucha is gonna do for you. The properties of the rosemary and the raspberry and how it can work for you and heal you. I went ahead and I divvied up in pretty equal measurements for the size of the bottle. The raspberries and the rosemary. I put the whole stick in there. You can see it pretty good in this one, but I just went and put the whole fruit in it. And here we are with just seconds left on the tea. So I'm gonna get ready and remove these. Now, you know what you can do with these guys? Put them into the side. Go ahead and make a nice strong cup of tea, even though they've been brewed already. And you don't want to really push on these. You don't want to get any of the particles, really. Some particles are inevitable to get in there, but I'll just stick these in here. And here is the sweet tea. I don't know if the light will make it any better. No, actually the dark made it. You can see how nice and dark it is. And we'll just let this chill. I want it to come room temperature before I add it. And a way to quicken that up is to add this 2 cups of water to the 13 cups of cool water that I'm gonna put in my vessel. My nice clean vessel. Look, you can see tea all over the place. Time's up. All right, so I am gonna measure out my 13 cups and add 2 cups to get my 1 gallon. Have my measuring cup, and I got, Malacha brands, I don't know. I got my bottles filled with my fruit. You can see some of my fruit in here. Oh, it's on the side, I don't like that. I got a little fruit on me. Oh well, this is real life. This ain't like some chef's kitchen, this is like my witch kitchen. And basically I am taking my kombucha, putting it into a nice jug so I can gently pour it into my second ferment bottles. At this point, remember, I already have 2 cups of starter. I'm gonna take my kombucha and I already stirred it. I wish I could give you like a better view, I'm sorry. Not good enough. Pouring it into my measuring cup. Nice and fizzy. Can you see that? I have no idea. I have no idea what you saw. Stick this out of the way. Alright, I'm gonna pour in. I'm gonna start with this little guy first. You wanna leave about 1 inch or more at the top to give it room to breathe. It's called headspace. I'm gonna stop about there. All right, got a big boy. Oh my God, I can smell the rosemary and the raspberry. It smells so good. All right, I'm not even quite in the middle of this yet, so let's get some more kombucha. So you can drink it just like this. If you like that flavor, that's called original. You can go ahead and have it just like that. But I like flavors. I'm gonna go ahead into this one I haven't done yet. Making sure we're pretty even. I'm okay with leaving a lot of space in the bottles. Now the second fermentation, you wanna let these go anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 more days. It really depends on how fizzy you like it. I like to let mine go a little more, get some real fizziness. But you want to check them periodically because it can explode. I like to store mine in actually just in a cardboard box. I like to store them in a cardboard box with like a towel on top. In case anything ever exploded, it's just gonna explode within the cardboard box. All right, I gotta be really think how I want to separate these. I want to get them to about an even amount, both my jars. So I'm sorry you can't see this. All you can see is like my armpits, but that's okay. You trust what I'm doing. I'm just filling these up with the rest of the kombucha, leaving headroom in both of them so it can expand. All right, let me show you. All right, that's that. I'm gonna close them up. That's the best way to do this. Closing them up, finger tight. That's the explanation I'm giving you. Finger tight, just to where you feel it close and you tighten it just one finger. I don't know. That's what all the pros say, finger tight. All right, I am gonna put these in a safe spot, and I can set a timer or a reminder that to check them in 1 or 2 days. I'm pretty comfortable letting mine go to 3 or 4 days. At that point, you can refrigerate them. Once they get into the cool, that's gonna pretty much stop any further fermentation. And this is where the fizziness is. If you can wait a couple days, that's where you're gonna get that really good fizziness. So in the meantime, our black tea, our black sweet tea is just chilling. I'm about to add it to some room temperature reverse osmosis water and show you the end of that. So today we successfully learned what kombucha is, what a SCOBY is, the 3 ingredients for kombucha, which are sweet tea, the starter tea, and the SCOBY, 1 cup of sugar. Then we learned how to actually brew your sweet tea. And then we learned all about second fermentation, where the flavors and the experiment begins. Okay, my first batch has come to room temperature. Now I'm adding about 1.5 cups of my starter. Well, we cutting it close, boy. That's why I said you gotta play with the amounts. And then we want to add a SCOBY. Sorry, I got tea all over my stove, but whatever. Taking a SCOBY. And it goes. I already gave it a nice stir. See it sink into the bottom for now. No biggie. No biggie. And I have a nice little piece of flour cloth. Nice and clean. Putting it like that. Just looking for my rubber band. I had a nice rubber band waiting. At this point, you can date it or set an alarm in your phone. And you want to set this in a place that'll be undisturbed for about 2 to 3 weeks. You can taste it at that point. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've kind of wanted to film a kombucha video for years. I guess I just felt intimidated because there's like a lot to it and I don't really have the right equipment, but I think I did a pretty good job, at least for a beginner's guide to home brewing. I had so much fun, and I guess just a little recap is kombucha is a wonderful fermented sweet tea that is filled with health benefits for your gut health. I think it's a feel-good drink, and it can replace soda. And it can replace fruit juices if you have the need for fizzy sweet things. This can kind of help you out with that. Here's my beautiful 1 gallon. I got to make 2 of these today with you. We got to do some second ferment flavoring with the rosemary and the raspberries. So thank you so much for watching. I'm blessing you all with love, health, happiness, and wealth. Here is the leftover tea from the tea bags. I added some ice and some lemon. And I'm just gonna stir in my intention for a positive day. I all finished my kombucha work. Now I can sit back and relax on this summer day and enjoy this nice cup of sweet tea. Because now we wait. We wait about 2 to 3 days for our kombucha, and we wait about 2 to 3 weeks for the new batch we just made. But had fun making this magic kombucha video with you. That's good. And that's just from the leftover tea. That's just from the leftover tea bags.